Ready to dive into the world of Miss Universe.
Let's do it.
I know you've been following the competition this year, especially with so many Filipina contestants going for the crown.
Right.
It's clearly more than just a competition for you, though, right? It's about representation, seeing yourself up there on that global stage.
Absolutely. And what's really got people talking this year is that we're not just talking about one Filipina contestant, but a whole wave of them. Is it a coincidence or is it something bigger?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the contestant representing the Philippines directly.
Okay.
Chelsea Manalo.
Yes.
She's got some seriously big shoes to fill.
She does.
I mean, the Philippines has already won the Miss Universe crown 4 times.
4 times. Can she make it 5?
Talk about pressure.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the weight of a nation's hopes and dreams on your shoulders.
Right.
But the good news is Chelsea's not facing this alone. She's got incredible support from fans and mentors back home in the Philippines.
Oh, totally. And speaking of mentors, we can't forget Catriona Gray, Miss Universe 2018.
Oh, an absolute powerhouse.
Right. She's become such an icon, not just in the Philippines, but globally.
Absolutely. And, you know, she's been watching Chelsea's journey really closely.
Oh, yeah.
And she sees something special in her.
Oh, what's that?
It's not just about Chelsea's stage presence, which is undeniable, or her transformation when she steps into the spotlight. Catriona sees a depth in Chelsea, you know, like a purpose that goes beyond the glitz and glamour.
I love that. And I heard that Catriona actually gave Chelsea some advice.
She did.
About staying grounded in that purpose, using it as an anchor amidst the craziness of the competition.
Yeah, that's such crucial advice because it's so easy to get swept away by the excitement and the pressure.
Oh, for sure.
But remembering your why can be so grounding.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
This year, it's not just about Chelsea representing the Philippines.
Right.
We have several other contestants who are also of Filipina heritage, but they're representing other countries.
It's amazing. This is the Filipina diaspora making a statement on the world stage.
Isn't it incredible? We've got Victoria Velasquez Vincent representing New Zealand.
Wow.
Christina Chalk representing Great Britain.
Yeah.
And Shireen Ahmed representing Bahrain.
It's incredible to see such diversity.
I know. It makes you think, what's driving this surge of Filipina women in the Miss Universe competition? Is it just chance or is it something deeper?
That's the million-dollar question. What does this tell us about the evolving concept of national identity?
Right, especially in a world that's becoming so interconnected.
It really challenges the traditional idea that representing a country is solely about where you were born or your citizenship.
Yeah.
These women are showcasing their Filipina heritage while representing the countries they call home.
It's such a beautiful example of how identities can be multifaceted and fluid, especially in today's globalized world.
Definitely.
And, you know, for young Filipinas all over the world, to see these women embracing their heritage on such a huge platform, it's so empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a powerful message of representation and inclusion.
And it sparks some pretty interesting questions, like, is this a sign of growing Filipino influence globally? How are these women connecting with their heritage in a world that's constantly changing?
These are questions that go way beyond beauty pageants.
For sure.
They touch on cultural identity, global interconnectedness, and the changing face of representation.
And those are exactly the topics we'll be diving deeper into, so stay tuned, because this is just the beginning of our deep dive into the fascinating world of Miss Universe and the Filipina diaspora.
It's amazing how this really challenges how we think about what it means to represent a country, you know, especially in a competition like Miss Universe.
Yeah, it used to be that beauty pageants, and Miss Universe in particular, were criticized a lot for promoting a very specific standard of beauty.
Exactly. There was often this bias toward a very westernized ideal.
Right.
But this year, with so many Filipina contestants with diverse backgrounds and features, it feels like we're seeing a shift toward a more inclusive and a more representative definition of beauty.
Yeah, it's not just about physical appearance anymore. It's about intelligence and talent and a strong sense of purpose.
Absolutely. And these are qualities that I think really resonate with so many people, especially young Filipinas who are looking for role models who reflect their own experiences and aspirations. They see these women breaking barriers and challenging stereotypes.
Totally. And it's so inspiring.
Yeah.
This whole conversation about Filipina representation in Miss Universe.
Right.
It kind of connects to a larger conversation about the Filipino diaspora itself, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, the Filipino diaspora is one of the largest and most widespread in the world.
Really?
Millions of Filipinos living and thriving in countries all over the globe.
Wow. And their presence on the world stage, whether it's through beauty pageants or entertainment, sports, or other fields, it's really a testament to their resilience and talent and determination.
It's a story of cultural exchange and adaptation. You know, carrying your heritage with you wherever you go.
And for Chelsea Manalo, as she gets ready to take that stage in Mexico City,
Right.
she's carrying the hopes and dreams, not just of one nation, but of an entire diaspora.
Oh, talk about pressure.
Right.
And also, what an incredible honor
Yeah.
representing a legacy of strength and beauty that resonates with Filipinos all over the world.
Okay, so let's go back to Catriona Gray for a sec.
Okay.
Her role as a backstage correspondent for this year's competition gives us such a unique perspective.
Oh, it does.
It's like a behind-the-scenes look at this often very glamorized world.
And who better to give us that insight than someone who's been there, done that?
Right.
Catriona knows the pressure, the excitement, the challenges these women are facing.
She's been a fan, a contestant, and now a commentator.
Yeah. It's like she's come full circle in the Miss Universe world.
Totally. And that perspective allows her to connect with the contestants on a deeper level.
For sure, she's not just reporting on the event.
Right.
She's sharing her own experiences and offering guidance, which is so valuable.
And Catriona's actually talked about how this role has allowed her to connect with contestants from all over the world.
I love that.
It fosters this sense of global community.
That cross-cultural exchange is so important, especially in a world that can often feel divided. It's a reminder that we have more in common than we think.
Right. And those connections can have such a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe some of those connections forged at Miss Universe will lead to lasting friendships or collaborations that can make a real difference.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would.
It really highlights the potential of these events like Miss Universe to bring people together and inspire positive change.
Now, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
The Miss Universe competition, with all the glitz and glamour, is actually a microcosm of global trends and cultural shifts, wouldn't you say?
I think so, absolutely.
We're seeing this rise in multiculturalism, a celebration of diversity, and a greater awareness of the interconnectedness of our world.
Yeah.
And Miss Universe, with its global reach and diverse contestants, is a perfect example.
It's like holding a mirror up to society and seeing all these beautiful reflections staring back at us.
And that brings us back to Chelsea Manalo and the other Filipina contestants who are ready to shine on that Miss Universe stage. They're not just representing their countries or their heritage. They're representing a new generation of women who are confident and compassionate and determined to make their mark.
That's something worth celebrating.
It is. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed.
Okay.
We started by exploring Chelsea Manalo's journey to Miss Universe.
Right.
And now we've kind of expanded our view to encompass this incredible wave of Filipino representation on a global scale.
It is incredible.
We've talked about the changing concept of beauty, the significance of the Filipino diaspora, and the power of representation.
We've only just scratched the surface.
I know.
This conversation brings up so many more questions.
Yeah, like what?
About cultural exchange, about the role of media in shaping perceptions, and the struggle for equality and representation in all its forms.
And those are questions worth pondering. But before we get lost in all of that, let's remember what sparked this whole conversation. We were so captivated by Chelsea Manalo's journey to Miss Universe, and that led us to this incredible wave of Filipino representation on such a global scale.
It really is amazing.
It's made us rethink what it means to represent a country or a culture in this increasingly interconnected world.
It's fascinating how these contestants challenge those traditional ideas of national identity. You know, in a world where people move across borders and cultures blend together, those lines become much less defined.
Yeah, these Filipina contestants are almost like a microcosm of that shifting landscape.
Right.
They're so proud of their heritage, but they're also representing the countries where they've built their lives.
And I think that resonates with so many people, particularly young Filipinas who are navigating their own identities in this globalized world.
It's true. Imagine a young Filipina girl, let's say in Canada or Australia, watching these women on stage and seeing themselves reflected back.
What a powerful image, right?
It tells them they don't have to choose between their heritage and their nationality.
Yes,
They can
definitely.
embrace both.
It's a message that goes way beyond beauty pageants.
Totally.
It's a message of inclusion and acceptance that applies to everyone, regardless of their background.
It's a reminder that our identities are complex and multifaceted, and that's something to be celebrated.
For sure, and this whole conversation has really highlighted the importance of representation and visibility. When people see themselves reflected in positions of influence and success, it can have such a profound impact on their aspirations and self-belief.
It's like those contestants are saying, we're here, we're Filipino, we're making our mark on the world.
And they're doing it with such grace and intelligence and a deep sense of purpose.
It's so inspiring to see.
It is.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Miss Universe and the Filipina diaspora, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've explored the changing face of beauty, the power of representation, and the evolving concept of national identity. But this conversation has sparked even more questions.
It really has.
In a world where the lines between cultures and nations are becoming increasingly blurred, what does it truly mean to represent a place, a people, or an identity?
It's a question that I think will continue to evolve as our world becomes more interconnected. But one thing's for certain, the Filipina diaspora is making its presence felt on the global stage. And that's definitely something to celebrate.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration.